Hi everyone, myself Dr. Lakshmi Prasad, working as an associate professor in the Department of Data Science, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. In this video, I'm going to discuss about what are the various basics of vectors and then matrices. So very first thing should be a vector. So vector is nothing but sometimes able to refer as objects which are easily referred to be collectively. So example is that the position of me on this floor can be described by two numbers. Let it be 12 and 3. So where each unit is 1 foot and measured for two perpendicular blocks. So the vectors, so these are the some of the objects which are easily referred to be collective, and the position on me on this can be floor can be described by two numbers, like it be 12 and 3. So where each unit is 1 foot and then measured for from two perpendicular points. So example I am able to discuss is that suppose I want to eat 2 eggs, so 3 slices of bacon and 2 slices of toast for the breakfast. So for that, then my breakfast will be summarized in the form of object will be like this. So like b is equal to 232. That means that so 2 slices of 2 eggs, right? 3 slices of bacon and 2 slices of breakfast. So like this, I can able to represent any kind of problem in the form of a vector here. So see under example, suppose X cost is $1.39 per dozen and bacon's cost $2.49 per pound, and the bread's cost will be $1 per loaf. So assume that the pound of bacons have 16 slices, and as it does a lot of bread here. So for that, how can I able to represent it? So this vector can be represented. So here I'm suppose buying X cost of dollar per dozen. So I'm divided by 12. And second one is bacon cost is $2.49 per pound. And so pound means for 16. And for bread cost, it should be 1.4. That loaf should be 16 here. So if I'm going to divide that, so this is the resulting vector what I can able to get it. So like this, I can able to represent any kind of problem in the form of vector. So previous thing I'm just discussed how it will be in the form of values here. Suppose if I am going to have a problem like this, so we have to evaluate it and finally have to get the resultant vector here. So there is no need of quantities to be expressed collectively like this stock portfolios, prices, weather conditions, physical state, etc. Okay, so there is no kind of representing the quantities should be expressed in like this, like weather conditions, physical state like this. And next one should be matrices. So what should be the matrices? How can you able to represent it? So in other cases, the number naturally line up in the form of arrays, like this in the form of array. I can able to represent it, right? So here, how can able to represent with the defined set of objects the corresponding pair of objects from 1 to each set. So I want to represent to one form. How can I able to represent to the other set from pairing of objects? How can I able to do that? I have to show. So for this, what I have to do? So we need a matrix. So how can I able to represent it? So let's consider an example here. So the pancakes, crepes, and then billiards are 3 types of flat breakfast that can able to have different types of ingredients that may be arranged here. So let's take pancakes, crepes, and then billiards. Here the flour, how can I can able to take 1.5 cup, crepes half cup, and billiards it should be 1 cup, and water cups it should be no need of that. So this one, and milk cups, how it will be eggs I needed 2 here, and 2 and 3 for billiards, and oil how many tablespoons. So this is the problem I'm having here. So for this kind of problem, how can I able to do in the form of matrix here? So initially I can have a table of this indices and measured. So for all this, how can I able to represent in the form of a table like this? So the definition may be exact definition is that so the n by n is the matrix which should be of rectangular array of mn numbers, so which are going to be arranged in m horizontal rows and n vertical columns. So the definition may be it should be a rectangular matrix of a size n by n, so which is going to be arranged in form of rows and then columns here. So this is then considered as row 1, and this one is considered row 2, and this one is considered C1, C2 and C3 like this. So rows, how can I able to define that? So ith of the row is of A like this. So A11, A12, AIZ and so on, AIN. Similarly J. So jth column should be, how can I able to do that? So A1Z, A2Z, A3Z like this one. So like this I can able to represent it in the form of rows and columns. So finally how to represent both of combination? So I can AIZ in the matrix of m by n. So dimension, so what should be the dimension here? So the definition is that so the dimension of the matrix should be the number of rows by the number of columns. So what we call as by here. So how can I able to represent? So I have a matrix like this. So how the matrix is going to be defined? So number of rows into columns. So how many rows? I have only one row. How many columns? So this shows the matrix of 1 by 4. Suppose if I am going to write like this, it should be 4 by 1 matrix. Okay. So like this I can able to mention the dimensions of the matrix here. And suppose if we take an example this, suppose I have a matrix of the size 5 by 3 and the incidence of the matrix, my apartment is 9 by 9, and like this the order is also important here. And next one is that vector. So vector definition, n vector or simple vector is of n by 1 or 1 by n matrix here. So the vector which is going to be shown in the form of n by 1 and 1 by n matrix. So we are going to be able to show different kinds of matrices. So already we see many already. So there are two kinds of vectors like this. Either horizontally or vertically how to show it. So this is the vertical one and this should be the horizontal. So linear algebra, what we are going to see, the most of the works should be with the column vectors only. And next one, here I'm going to show some algebra of vectors like suppose my wife does not like eggs, so her breakfast may be taken of the form so 0 to 2, how it will comes. So how can you express my wife's and then my breakfast for one day? So here I can just add up the components like so 2 plus 0, 3 plus 2 and then 2 plus 2. I can able to add it so that I can able to get the algebra of vectors which should be of the form. So adding up vectors, so adding up vectors is nothing but the sum of two vectors is nothing but the vector whose ith component should be the sum of the ith component of the first vector and ith component of the second vector. Suppose if I'm going to have a vector like this, suppose if I'm going to add, so what should be the resultant adding vector? Let it be 4, 6 and then 11. So like this I can able to perform the addition of the vectors. So similarly I can able to perform subtraction also. So I can able to make subtraction. So minus 2, minus 2 and minus 1. So like this I can able to perform the algebraic addition of vectors adding also. Suppose look at this, my wife's breakfast is measured by b plus b component, and suppose if I'm going to eat the same breakfast every day, so what should be the vector that is going to represent here? So consumptions over the week I can able to represent. So 7 days to 3 to, so how many days in a week I'm calculating. So I am going to multiply with the 7 factor, so all the things, so that I can able to get the resultant vector is this. So what should be the scalar multiple of vector? So scalar multiple of vector is nothing but a scalar vector whose ith component is the times of the ith component of p. Suppose if I am going to multiply one vector scale like 5, which is going to be represented with like this. So this should be considered as the scalar value. How can I able to get this 25, 50, 25? So breakfast of the vectors is 7b. Next one, nailing algebra of matrices. So here the matrices can be added and scaled the same way. So how the matrices can going to be added here. Suppose this is the matrix I'm having. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and under matrix should be 1 minus 1, 0 minus 2. So if I'm going to add, so 1 plus 1, how much? And 2 minus 1, and 3 plus 0, 4 plus 2. And this should be the resultant matrix. So another example I'm going to consider it is, so I'm going to multiply the matrix with the scalar value. So what is the values I'm getting? 4, 4 minus 4, 8. So this should be the resultant, right? So this is the value I'm going to get it here. Okay, so like this we can able to perform some of the basics of algebraic vectors and the components here. So very first thing what I'm going to show it is that, so so what should be a vector? So vector is nothing but an object that is going to be collectively, and where the position of the floor can be represented in the form vector like this here. And suppose if I'm going to add example like this, what I'm going to show, so 2x I can able to present in the form vector is 3, and bacon should be in the form of vector, and 2 slices of toast for the breakfast is 2. So another example what I took here is the x and bacon cost and the bread cost, how much it is. So and this is the way how can I able to calculate the vector here. And so matrix is nothing but where these values are going to be represented in the form of rows and columns like this, where we have some of the matrix operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and some other things I can able to do on the matrices also. So let's take the example. This is the problem I initially assigned, and how can I able to represent the form of vector like this. And the matrix definition, the matrix is n by n matrix, which should be of rectangular array of m to n, so which is going to be arranged in m rows and vertical columns. So the rows and columns should be, so row should be horizontal and column should be the vertical one. So finally I can able to get this. So what should be what should be the dimension? So the dimension of the matrix can be rated as number of rows by column, and so vector simple vector can be represented as n by 1 or 1 by n matrix. So where can I able to show it in the form of this. And algebra of vector, so where the component does not lie, I want to show it. So simply by adding the components, I can able to get the version vector, and this should be the addition. And algebra of vectors, so where can able to multiply the scalar value, so where can able to get the prime vector also. And algebra matrices, so adding of two matrices and multiplying the scalar value. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.